and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Lula and recently I started playing over the board chess again. Today I have a game to share with you that I played in the French National League last weekend, and as always I will not be spoiling the result before the game, but it was a very interesting game, so I hope that, it's a really weird game, so I hope that you will be interested by it. Just before we start, I wanted to say that if you enjoy my videos, please consider subscribing. We are almost at 10,000 subscribers and that would make my day. So yeah. So for once I had the white pieces and I was playing against a 1500. I was playing on board 2. We had 6 boards in the team, which is the biggest team I've ever seen for a team event, but I guess the National League here has 6 boards. And I was very happy to not be on board 1 because that takes off a lot of the pressure, and also board 1 would have meant that I had black again, and I had black last time. So it's very nice to have the white pieces, and I play e4, and we have the French defense. Now, the French defense is something that I used to play. So even though I'm not super booked up as a person, I'm not spooked either. So I played the advanced French, and these are all just the standard moves of the advanced French. And the variation that I play is the variation with a3. I don't really know how I feel about it, honestly. This is like a main line, but I don't think it's super fun. I don't know, like a lot of people play the Milner-Barry gambit. I'm kind of afraid of doing that. I don't know. Maybe I should just play that line, but I really don't know. Let me know what you think. But I play a3, and so usually the idea is to push b4, which makes black resolve the tension in the center. And my opponent played a5, which means that he doesn't want me to play b4. And here I was not thrown off because I've definitely seen this before, but I don't have anything super booked up for this. So I just played bishop to d3 because I can develop the bishop here to its best square. Obviously, if you've played the French before, you know that this pawn isn't hanging because of the tactics to win the queen. So we all know that. And bishop to d7 now means that there is no check, which means that this pawn on d4 is not defended, which means I have to play a move like bishop to c2. So that's what I played. And it's a book move. I actually didn't know that this was all still book. This just seems logical to me. And here black can play knight to h6 to continue development, and obviously I didn't want to capture here and let the bishop capture. So my opponent actually played knight to e7, and here I would automatically like castle usually, and I was very close to just automatically castling. But then I thought, well, what does knight to e7 do that knight to h6 doesn't do? And obviously you don't want to have the concession of having the doubled pawns, but in not having that concession, you're allowing me to take here and you have to take with the queen. And I thought for a little bit, not like a long time, but I decided to take because I thought, this is going to lead us into different territory, first of all, because, if I castle and we get like all of this exact same stuff, like it's all going to be the same French of like the bishop's going to come here and it's just like all going to be the same stuff. And I was like, maybe we could just go into different territory for funsies, just to see what would happen. So I did, and I took. And I thought here, maybe just like black doesn't even have to take, and then I can castle, and they can grab that pawn. But my opponent decided to take, which I think is also fine. But there are lots of ideas. There are lots of possible moves. And obviously the first move you look at is bishop to e3 because you want to develop with tempo on the queen. So this is what I thought I was going to play. I think it is probably objectively the best move, and I didn't play it. But what I didn't really like was just that now this is undefended and I have to play something like b3. And it's just like I wasn't really sure about, I don't know. It looked weird and I wasn't really sure if I could play queen c1, but here apparently a4 is just very good. But here I considered other moves. I even considered knight to d2 to like get a tempo on the queen this way. The engine doesn't really like it, but like I considered this kind of thing, and I considered also just castling. I think those are all my candidate moves other than the move that I played. The move that I played was b4 because I thought it was tricky. I am leading myself into bad things. Stockfish thinks this is a mistake, of course. Classic Lula making a mistake on move 10. But I thought, okay, here queen b6, and you have to play like b5 or something. And then I didn't calculate all of this, but I should have for sure. And here it's weird. For sure, you get a weird game of chess, which kind of was what I was after, was a weird game of chess, because I'm bored. I'm bored. So yeah, I'm after a weird game of chess. And here I also thought, you know, my opponent can't take this pawn because I don't take with the c pawn, I take with the a pawn. And then I have a tempo on the queen and your rook is hanging. But unfortunately for the ops, this is what they played. This is what happened in the game. And here I thought, trying to figure out, like, what is his best move? Because it's not easy. And I was like, should he take? And I take the queen. I was like, should he come here? And then takes. I really didn't know what to do. And he played this move. He played takes, c3, check, knight takes, and rook takes a1. So he grabbed a pawn for a pawn and a rook for the queen. b4, best move, obviously, objectively. So here we obviously have won the opening. We have an opening advantage. And my opponent, however, is a teenage boy. He's not going to resign. He's not resigning on move 12. Obviously not. Which valid, you know, absolutely valid. Not suggesting that he should. Here I castle because I'm like, if you want to grab this pawn, I mean, technically you can grab this pawn. And so in fact, you actually get 2 pawns and a rook for the queen, which definitely isn't enough, but it's not nothing. This is kind of what I thought he would play, because I thought, why not grab an extra pawn and, you know, put all your hopes on this pass pawn? You have this pass pawn that I have to blockade if it gets to that point. I don't know. I just castled because I was principled and I was like, who cares? It's a pawn. My opponent didn't take the pawn. He played knight to g6. He was like, I'm going to attack your central pawn because then I'm going to have lots of strong center and pass pawns. And I was like, I'm up a queen. So I traded. Which I was kind of suspicious of myself for doing, because like, okay, he's gonna have the bishop pair. What I really want to do is trade this rook for this rook, because what I don't want is for him to have the 2 rooks work together at any point, because if he can have the 2 rooks work together against the queen, that was something that I wasn't very happy about. So I really wanted to trade off this rook. I don't know if that was the right instinct, but I absolutely wanted it gone, and I spent pretty much the next 5 moves trying to get those rooks traded. So I played b5 because I was like, if you're not going to take the pawn, I'm going to try and keep the pawn. Preparing to trade, basically unpinning and preparing to trade because I want to trade the rooks. I don't know what the engine likes. The engine likes queen to d3 as well, but I think that this queen, because I'm anticipating him coming here, right? So I need my bishop to not be hanging. And of course, he comes here. I'm offering a trade. He can't take because I'll take. He comes up to attack my pawn. Rook a1, he can't take, it's defended by the knight. And then he plays bishop to b4. So he defends his rook. His rook is defended twice. He has the option to take my bishop if he wants. He's putting pressure here. And honestly, like, he was playing lots of moves which I would say gave like good, tricky, practical chances. I think that his moves are annoying. And at the end of the day, that is the goal, is to be as annoying as possible to stop your opponent from winning. So fair enough, he was not compliantly trading. I wanted to trade. Here, apparently, I should play rook a4 and also be equally annoying. I just wanted to trade the rooks. It really wasn't that deep. I really just wanted to trade. Here, it's kind of hard to hold on to this pawn. And I considered this kind of move with the idea of, obviously, if you take my bishop, I'm going to take your bishop. My queen's getting in. Yummy. But like, I think you can just play something like this. And now I have to like move my bishop somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't go for this queen a4 thing. I probably should have. I think it was good. Like, I think it was probably best. Maybe. But instead I decided to play knight to e2. And I was like, well, if you want to have the pawn, I don't really care. I'm going to put my knight on d4. And I thought that this was like a significant improvement to the piece, because we're blockading any counterplay on the pass pawn, and we're like controlling these squares, and we're controlling potential pushing squares. Felt like it wasn't really doing much, to be honest. That was what I felt. So he obviously doesn't want to trade. He comes back. I'm offering to trade again. He comes back. And at least, even though he's retained the 2 pieces, the bishops are passive. They're controlling a lot of like infiltration squares, but they're passive, which I enjoy. So he's attacking my pawn. And here I probably should just like totally ignore that. But I was like, oh, maybe I'll just protect the pawn for like 1 turn. Because I thought I couldn't stop him from castling. I was trying to find a way to stop him from castling. And I thought that this wasn't enough because I thought that there was a response to it. What did I think the response to it was? Maybe just now the trade, and okay, he still can't castle. I think I was just giving him too much credit, potentially way too much credit. But I was like, I can't really stop castles, so I was like, I'm gonna keep this pawn. And I was fully expecting castles. I thought that was probably the best shout. And he played rook to h5, piling up on my pawn. Well, you can't really do that because I have g4. And here, apparently his best is to take and sack, which I would have been okay with. Why would I not be okay with that? That seems pretty cool to me. He went back, so I don't think he really wanted to give more material. The thing is, this rook sucks, like it's actually doing nothing, and because it's on its own, and it doesn't have the other rook, it really does suck. Like it really sucks. And like, I know what he wants, you know, like I know he wants at some point to try and get some counterplay here, but it's just not gonna happen, okay? So I played queen a2 because now I'm like, okay, who cares about my pawn? Like, I don't care. My opponent plays f6, which I thought was really ballsy, if you will, because where's your king going? So I checked. He has to come back as the only move. And here I was considering lots of moves. It feels like there's a lot of good moves. I can like take this pawn. I can take this pawn. I can move my knights, and what I did was move my knight because I'm going to come up here and I'm going to start causing problems. And I also am adding a defender to the square, so it's not like I'm losing material, if that's something that I'm worried about. I know I should not be materialistic, I'm up a queen, but what I mean by losing material is just like more losing squares for getting my pieces in to infiltrate. Because at this point, it's move 27, and I am kind of smacking myself in the head, like, how have I not checkmated him? Because I have a queen, an extra queen. I definitely should have. Tried harder, I think, instead of trading so many pieces. I probably should have been more cutthroat. I wasn't, because I didn't want to be reckless. B4 was reckless, okay? It was 1 reckless move for the whole game. That's enough. So my opponent takes, and I am not sure what I should do. I think here I should probably just play knight to c5. Then I was like, what about this? And then I was like, knight to b7. And I was also like, well, do they have this move or something like that? But I don't think so, because I can always take. But there are just like lots of possibilities. And being the coward that I am, I was like, oh, let's just take the pawn, because if you trade and my bishop comes in, a very strong bishop, like this bishop would be really good here. And then I still have knight to c5. Like none of these moves prevent me from getting my knight here. So yeah, I go here and he plays this tricky move, and it's like, oh, not a skewer. Except I can threaten checkmate in 1. So I threaten checkmate in 1, because if you can, surely you should. My opponent's like, I don't really want checkmate in 1. So he takes my knight, and now my queen is defending my horsey, which is very nice, fun detail. And I thought here he has to play something like bishop to e7, because this is clearly the move that you have to stop from happening. And here I was like, maybe I can play king to g2 or something, because I really wasn't worried about this kind of move. Like this, that didn't stress me out at all. The rook staying here, I was like, probably the rook has to come back somewhere. Or, I mean, he Stockfish wants him to give up the rook and keep the 2 bishops and play this, I guess. But my opponent played d4, and he was like, I want a queen. And so I said knight to c5. I threatened checkmate in 1. You can run away, and I can take that. It's not a very fun position, I think, to play. So my opponent resigned, which I think, yeah, is fair. I think that like you don't want to resign on move 12 ever. It feels really bad, and obviously there's a chance that I would have messed it up, but I was quite winning out of the opening. And should I have played b4? Probably not. Stockfish thinks that it's a mistake. Let's see on the game review what Stockfish thinks of my play. Okay, so, I mean, it's very easy to get a high accuracy score when you win a queen in the opening. So 91.4%, my opponent has 83.1%. And okay, Stockfish thinks I'm 2450 and my opponent is 2050. So I don't really know how they calculate these scores. Obviously, I'm not 2450, but I only made one mistake in the whole game. It was b4. Was also the moves that led me to win the game. Very in a turmoil moment for me right now. I already looked at this with my coach yesterday, and she obviously like gave me a slap on the wrist for playing b4 because it's like a hope chess, but it's like, I mean, it is and it isn't, because I'm not lost here. I gain rating, like 5 points maybe, so that will bring my rating, I think I'm getting like 14 points this month maybe, I don't really know, 13 or 14, so will bring me to like 1688 or something. I'm just like slowly farming. That's my goal. I've never played a league or anything like that. I always play like opens and spooky things where I get crushed by, you know, stronger players. So this is really fun because it means that I get to win games. I like to win games every now and then. And I think that, you know, I was obviously having a crisis of confidence in my previous game. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it down below. But I was also having a crisis of confidence here because there is no pressure like winning a one game, you know? There is no pressure like being up a queen and thinking, oh my God, I have to win because I'm up a queen, you know? It puts an enormous amount of psychological pressure. And obviously, yes, I'm not complaining about being up a queen, not at all complaining. If my opponents could all give me their queens, that would be delightful. But it's different. It's a different game to play. And we still sat there for 30 moves and, I don't know, 2.5 hours or whatever it is, because it's classical chess. And we still played a long game of chess. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to Japan very soon. So my YouTube upload schedule might be a bit weird for the next kind of month. I'm not really sure what it's going to look like, but I am not abandoning you. Anyway, please like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe. We're almost at 10K, and comment down below if anything in this game was interesting to you. And I will see you next time. Bye, guys.